Welcome to Hilarity by Default's weekly BRISCO COUNTY JR review, starring the Iron Chin of Bruce Campbell. Episode 21 has Briscoe tracking down the titular Ned Zed, a notorious bank robber and possible predecessor to Iron Man. Along the way, he also faces off against the sinister Frenchy Bearpaux, a taxidermist hobbyist with a literal bear claw for a hand and a vendetta against the county family line. From dime novel shenanigans to logging saw escapes, Ned Zed is framed as the Princess Bride episode of BRISCO COUNTY JR. Ditched wedding plans and all. Come to think of it, it probably would be apropos to title this episode The Briscoe Bride instead of Ned Zed, who admittedly kind of sounds like a deleted character from a Quentin Tarantino film. Anyway, a literal throwback to the early Briscoe episodes sees the return of the wild and crazy spirit that made the show popular in the first place, and yet it feels like the kind of episode that would normally air in the final season of a long-running show. Clips and all.
You know, it's funny you mention it as if it would be running in its final season. I kind of felt like this was a filler and an opportunity for them to make use of some of the footage from the original version of a pilot they had shot, or the original script for one. I'm going to get it out the way quick, Demos. This is the quintessential cheese pizza episode, right?
I actually kind of disagree on that, but I'll save it for the end of the episode. I think that the episode that this reminds me most of is Pirates. This is the Pirates episode of the last half of BRISCO COUNTY JR. It's kind of odd, though you mentioned the clip. It's kind of odd that the pre-title sequence features a clip from the pilot. Mind you, the most out of place scene from that pilot, and then it never has another clip. Because I'll be honest, if I was an audience member watching this at the time, and this is one of the few episodes I don't have a memory of from the original air date, probably, I don't know, there's a chance I may have seen the beginning part of the episode and I thought that this was a clip show, which were popular at the time. A lot of the shows did clip shows because there weren't any DVDs. Most shows weren't even released on VHSs. So they had these clip shows to remind viewers or show first-time viewers some of the highlights from the show. So it's very odd that it begins in the style of a clip show and doesn't commit to it, which I'm kind of happy about. I'm not a big fan of most clip shows, but it does feel a little random.
And I'm glad that you made the call out to Princess Bride, because the thing that I picked up more than anything else was Peter Falk and Fred Savage being channeled through, these two actors that were father and son here in this scene, rather than grandpa and grandson. I like the part where it started out, "Oh, come on, son, you need to go to bed." "Oh, but Dad, just Briscoe's in the so-and-so with the thing, just a little more." "Okay." Then later, "Dad, I'm kind of tired." "Oh, but come on, son, there with Briscoe and the thingamabob." Okay.
It's such a copy that both Fred Savage and this kid both make the same observation. I don't like the kissing or the mushy parts.
Well, yeah, but I don't think it's Fred. Listen, back in that day, I was like that. And now, considering that they have the hot chick from Hot Shots 2, who I always thought was hot in her own right, I'm kind of like, I think I might like the mushy parts. No, but, that sounds even worse now that I've said it out loud. Anyway, so, no, I really like that part of it, and the way they use that for the transition, and the way that the dad thought the episode, inner episode, the chapter names, if you will, were cool.
I like the way they worked that in. It almost, in retrospect, you could say the entire series has been you just watching one of the dime novels. But I will say this, speaking of this, the dime novel twist makes it easier to swallow the more outlandish aspects of this episode.
Absolutely.
An episode which harkens back to the Atmos, as I said before, of the Pirates episode. For the most part, I think it works decently well, and many of the sillier aspects provide plenty of laughs. From comets, safe cracking. I liked the character of Bear Claw, bear trap fight, and all. Which note provides a neat bit of foreshadowing, a la the quicksand in Pirates, although I would argue that it works better here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yet, this is my only sticking point. I think that the episode feels undermined by the annoying character of Ned Zed, who never feels as a genuine threat, and unlike Pete, I don't think has any strong defining characteristics to make him plausibly enjoyable. The most distinctive part about him is that he turns into Iron Man.
You know, the very things you point out that make him unlikable to you are what made him work for me.
Interesting.
As a villain, as somebody you wanted to cheer against. I felt that worked for me. Like, you know, he didn't come up with the stupid Iron Man suit, but he's going to use it like it's his own. That's a very Ned Zed thing to do. By the end of the episode, I was very glad to do my own Bruce Willis impression and say, Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. Anyway.
Which is why I guess you reminded me of a Quentin Tarantino character. I mean,
full circle, that's all.
I will give credit. Iron Man with a machine gun. It looked silly as hell. It almost looked like something out of Jack of all trades. But because of the dime novel twist on the episode, I bought it a lot easier. It was an easier pill to swallow.
The silliness was why it worked, in my opinion. Ned Zed's ego of him thinking he's this great thing, like his whole monologue, giving the first robbery that we see in the episode, you knew you had some Napoleon complex having freaking jackass running the show.
With Napoleon and Jackass, once again, you remind me of Jack of all trades, but go on.
For me, the underlying problem this episode has is something that we was doomed to suffer from moment one. You know it's the dime novel, so you know that Briscoe's going to win. And therefore, anybody who's a real threat, the stakes are gone. Now, granted, that means all they have is silly and laughs and entertainment, which they deliver. But the underlying threat of any real danger, I mean, granted, who's the guy on the marquee, right? Of course, it's Briscoe, but like, Bowler ain't getting shot. Now, granted, they don't have any time-traveling orb, you know, Mickey Fireball, Trash, Hickatus, Fickatus, whatever, to alter what would have been an impactful scene, as we talked about in the previous episode.
Well, I don't think that's as much because of the dime novel. It's more so because it's a prequel. It takes place during the... I mean, this might as well have been the second story in the series following the pilot. I mean, this is how early it takes place.
Again, it could have been the pilot, if you ask me.
I do agree that I'm glad to see the return of the more outlandish Briscoe villains of yore. And here we do see the two extreme examples of their creativity. On one hand, you have Frenchy Bearpaux. Dastardly but memorable character with a bear claw for a hand, seeking revenge for the mutilation of his hands at the hand of Brisco County Sr.
And it's also spelled correctly, CLEU or EAUX.
I like his character. I like him better than Ned Zed. I even like his crazy fascination with the taxidermy bear. And I like the fact that when he's defeated, Briscoe takes his bear claw away.
And I'm taking this.
That's cold-blooded right there.
I like that. I mean, you may not get your Reginald grooming comet scene that you've been pining for, but at least you got your bear claw grooming dead bear scene.
Something I've always wanted since I was a boy. What? Anyways.
Tell me this. I mean, once again, this might just be me, but for the most blatant time since a couple of minor moments in the pilot, Bruce Campbell seemed to be truly channeling Ash from Evil Dead during his escape from the sawmill. Tell me you didn't see that.
Are you all right?
Am I all right? Did you see that? You know what it's like? Can you even imagine? I'm going to have nightmares about this for the rest of my life.
In a moment or two, I can see it that you pointed it out. Now, I was distracted by the fact of the missed opportunity as he's on that log that no one said, "No, Mr. County, I expect you to die." That disappointed me that line didn't happen.
Yeah, for somebody that's part James Bond, they don't make many Bond references, but you could argue that there's an Indiana Jones reference when Socrates thinks he's dead.
Oh, absolutely. You beat me there. That's it. I mean, it's not shot for shot, but it's the same damn scene.
Even down to the hat reference.
Yes, absolutely.
But you know what? Once again, a lot of those early episodes of Briscoe County had a lot of Last Crusade influences. We covered them episode by episode during our reviews, and there weren't that many. And now with this throwback, they go back to it. I actually kind of appreciate it. Straight up. I don't think it necessarily worked in this episode, but I appreciated it.
I liked it. I'm just like, you cornballs. You know, it was weird seeing the bowler banter between he and Briscoe, even though at the same time they have a mix in of back to the days of bowler's stupid, you know.
Yeah, you noticed that.
Yeah, because, I mean, fireball. I know that comment's amazing, but you just said he was smarter than Bowler in trying to solve the save crack.
You know, I'm almost thinking that this was a script that they wrote near the beginning of the series that they never filmed.
Yeah.
And they went back to it and just added the framing device.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly. I mean, even Briscoe is more brash and a little bit more cocky at times in this episode.
And has a mustache, which, by the way, Bruce, baby, don't ever do that again.
Well, that was just in that one scene.
I know, but it was horrible. I have to point it out just because, you know.
There was no explanation for it, even the pilot. That was a better introduction to Comet than it was to Briscoe. And that was his first scene.
They were drawing attention away from that garbage mustache.
And the beard, it looks like it was pasted on.
I mean, yeah, somebody took a marker to that. Uh-oh. But again, so you're going to defoul the chin of Bruce Campbell that is part of every intro for every episode we've done this far? Come on, man.
This feels like a guilty pleasure episode. There's nothing outstanding about it, but it's a fun ride regardless. I'm very curious at this point to ask you how many comments you're going to give it.
Quintessential cheese pizza episode. It ain't going to do more or less than a 3, right? Otherwise, it's not the quintessential cheese pizza episode. You know, to your point, while I don't dislike Ned Zed as you do, he was certainly not the strongest villain. He has no calling card other than his ego and being wannabe Iron Man, you know? I mean, it's not like he as a character has something truly memorable. It's the support he was giving. He's got a big ego. Oh, so he's the riverboat guy. No, he's kind of annoying. Oh, so he's Pete with, hello, Briscoe. Nope, nothing like that. You know, so as he's a relatively forgettable villain, granted.
The only thing memorable is the gadgets that he has, and right. For me, it's when the title of your episode represents, at least for me, the weakest component of the episode. I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity. I think that, like I said, I think that Bear Claw was the better, more innovative villain in this.
Okay, I could see that.
I'm faced with these questions. Is Ned Zed silly? Hell yes, it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Does it have enough fun moments to mark it as an enjoyable mid-level romp for Briscoe? Yes, again. Ned Zed, at least for me, isn't the Cheese Pizza Foundation that you, my co-host Kyle, so frequently mention.
As the one who invented tobacco.
I think for me, it's more akin to a plain cheese pizza bagel bite than anything else. It's a mindless comfort food for a guilty pleasure.
What do you think cheese pizza is?
Mickey Mania!
This is the cheese pizza bagel bite episode of Briscoe for me. I'm allowed to say it because that's just as silly of an analogy as this episode is. So I'm with you. Three comments.
No, I'm still trying to work on the bagel bite thing. I'll get back to you on that. Like, bagel bites kind of taste like cardboard and paper if you don't cook them right. So, and this is a dime novel, which is made of paper and has some cardboard for the. No, I got nothing, man.
The analogy is sound. That's. So join us every week as we cover all 27 episodes of The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. We invite you to watch along and let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are on each episode. And make sure to like and subscribe for more fun from Hilarity by Default.